Hey guys, Shane here, Oz Flight Simmer. Welcome to another episode of Test Drive. Today we're actually taking ORBX's Catalina Island for a spin around the block. And we're here starting off at Catalina Airport, which is formerly known as Buffalo Springs Airport, which opened originally in 1941. The airport itself is actually perched at one of the highest parts of Catalina Island, which is 1,602 feet. Catalina Island itself is actually 35 kilometers away from Southern California, or 22 miles, so it's really a VFR flight, or dream flight I should say. But taking a look at ORBX's work they have done around the airport with your static planes, very high quality, and the actual tourist area or the terminal here, the tower in the background, it is to ORBX's usual standard of quality, and frames are very good, and they've put a lot of detail in a lot of the areas on the walls here. You can actually notice, you can actually go up and read some of that stuff. And I've taken a look at some real life photos of the airport, and it is pretty much spot on. Even got a map of Catalina Island there, and there's a lot of and as usual, ORBX has placed a lot of different characters around the airport there to make it look like it's actually a live airport in the virtual world. So ORBX not only has just done this airport, the actual scenery includes a whole island of Catalina. So there's actually some other areas of interest to fly. There's also the Pebble Beach heliport and the Wrigley Marine Science helipad. So if you're a chopper pilot, you'll find this a lot of fun also to fly around and take a look at. One interesting fact is that the actual airport is nicknamed Airport in the Skies because it is on one of the highest areas of Catalina. It's actually known to be sitting above the clouds on different days with the different weather. So, and you can see that on one of the hangars there, and that's actually true to life. So now we'll actually take a look at the textures of the taxiway, and we can see the runway in actual distance there, and we've got some more static planes on the top left there. ORBX has done a really good job on how they actually blend in the different textures of the sand and the dirt into the actual taxiway. The actual airport has got a runway 4, which you can just see there, and runway 22. It is 3,000 feet in length, or 914 meters if you're from my neck of the woods. Last I checked statistics, 2006, there was 23,000 aircraft annually actually used the airport there, and there's about 10 aircraft normally based in there. So you can see some choppers in the background. The really cool thing, at the either end of the runway, there's a cliff drop-off, so it's like landing on an aircraft carrier, so which makes things really interesting. But within saying that, jump in a plane and have a look at the rest of the island ourselves. So we're in our trusty A2A Comanche for this flight. Probably not the best aircraft to show you, as a low wing aircraft to show you the different sites of Catalina. But doing some reading, some research, the winds on approach, particularly to runway 22, always very interesting. So using Actve Sky, so I thought we'll see if we can demonstrate with the winds. Looks like we're going to have a crosswind landing, but we're going to take off runway 22 and do a bit of a loop around and see the tourist areas there and come back in. ORBX has done a really good job with all the scenery and the trees, the shrubbery, and the grass is really matching in with the photos that I've actually seen for Catalina Airport with the sand there. So it's really cool to taxi down this way and having that sort of asphalt textures and the sand mixing in together. But we're approaching down the end of the taxiway for runway 22, and as you can see, you cannot see. It's basically, it looks like you are about to drive off in the clouds, and there's a big drop off there. So we're just going to make our way to line up, and there's a bit of a run up area there. I'll come back to you shortly after we take off, and we'll take a look at some of the points of interest around one side of Catalina Island. I won't show the whole part of the island because this will make it a very long video, but I'll talk to you soon. Not one of my finest takeoffs, but then again, I'm in the A2A Comanche, which is probably one of the most difficult aircraft that I have flown, but we did have Actve Sky and a Crosswind. But we're coming over to the coast now. We're going to make our left-hand turn up here shortly, but some really good views below. As you can see, the cliffs actually meeting the sea, and you can see that all the work they've done in actually the water textures meeting the cliffs, and you can see there's been a lot of hard work actually put into that. Also, they've used a crisp 5-meter terrain mesh in this, and a lot of photoreal scenery has gone into it as well. And just to have a look at the views on that. As you can see here, and all dotted around the coastline of Catalina, you'll see that ORBX has placed different boats and yachts. They're actually taking anchorage to really, look like it's what it is in real life, a destination for yachties as well. And if you can see through the mist and the rain on the left-hand side there, you can get a glimpse there. You can see some of the cruise ships and some of the tourist areas in the background, but we'll be making a turn around the peak here, and we'll take a look at those. Apologies for the weather, but we are actually using Actve Sky today, so I wanted to do a real life scenario. But you can see the sun is starting to come through. You see it reflecting off the mountains there. It really reminds me of the cliffs of Dover in England actually. And as we come around, you can see, once I get the A2A wing out of the road there, but there's actually a quarry, and ORBX has implemented the quarry in the scenery, and a really realistic job. You can actually see the roads and the tracks. Be very interesting to see what type of quarry that is. If you know, leave a description below. But as we turn off, we can see the cruise ships coming into the scene. And if I'm not mistaken, that should be the city of Avalon, where most of the inhabitants of Catalina Island will be based, in the main tourist areas, where the ferry will come in from Southern California or San Diego. And coming into view is the pier. You can actually see the yellow submarine as well, and very closely to that is the actual Wrigley Maria Science helipad. And that's, that part there, that cove there, that's where a lot of the hotels and whatnot, the different yachties would go for Catalina Island. And that round building that we just went past, that's actually the Catalina Casino. So as we're leaving Avalon, but you'll see this all the way. So ORBX has done a really good job with loads of piers and docks and little spots along the way. A lot of nooks and crannies. So everywhere you go in Catalina Island, there is something to be looking at and something new to see. So we're going to make our way back to our airport and land on the same runway we took off, runway 22. So we're going to just gain some altitude. As you can see, there's some more coves and docks and boats. With the weather today, should make things really interesting for a crosswind landing at 22. So this will be my second time landing here. First time in the A2A Comanche. Sort of found out you need to get very well trimmed up and everything put into play. So you got that wind pushing a little bit, so it's hard to line up. But you sort of think that you're going to fly in here a little bit too high, and I think that's more the effect that there's a cliff there. So I'm going to leave you to it as we come in. So we made it safe and sound. The landing was as rough as my takeoff. I had trouble lining up with the wind there, but we'll take a look at that undercarriage a little bit later. Hopefully this gave you a bit of a glimpse of Catalina Island, and very much worth the purchase. There's a lot of work being put in there. There's a lot of landscape. It's just not the airport, it's the whole island ORBX has done. So we're going to have a lot of fun flying here in the future, so it should be pretty good. So if this is something that you like, please have a look at one of the other videos I've done, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, and a thumbs up or a share would go a long way. Thanks very much. I'm Oz Flight Simmer. Have a good day. Cheers.